We're not going to let a little rain stop us. We're here at the Medalta National Historic Site and Museum. Let's go check it out. It's indoors. Medicine Hat was a natural place for the Alberta pottery industry to develop. You had the railroad, you had clay deposits, and you had large repositories of natural gas for firing up the kilns. And in 1913, the Medicine Hat Pottery Company built the bulk of what you see here at this location and started the pottery industry in Medicine Hat and really in Western Canada. Oh, sorry, got distracted by some of the natural wildlife. Okay, let's go inside now. While the original buildings date to 1913, the site was really in almost continuous development up until the 1950s. Duck the head and into the kiln.
Pyrometric cone.
Be a great name for a band. The Pyrometric Cones.
The damper.
Yeah, so each arch had its own gas pipe and pilot light. And then that little retaining wall would force the fire up along the walls, and the beehive shape of the ceiling would help with the convection currents to dry and fire all the pottery.
Oh, pickles, the drift plate. Maybe we should.
Hey, this is my buddy. He likes to point things out to us. This kiln down here is showing, or it's loaded with pottery. Lots of these old water coolers. So just an indication of how involved the firing process was. It would take 2 days to load the kiln by hand. Then they would seal up all the openings, increase the temperature by firing up all those individual gas lines, fire for 5 to 7 days, break open the door, take 2 days just to cool down, and then another 2 days to unload the kiln, all by hand.
Crocs. What a crock.
A lettuce crock. And let us explore the rest of the museum, too.
In direction of the arrow, like this. In. Like this. Okay. Yeah, you line it up with the blue piece here.
Okay, I think even I can pull this off. Huh?
Time in with the blue piece.
Oh.
See? Like in. That blue is where it's gonna print.
Time. Okay.
Yeah. Just time in, lined up with the blue piece.
Okay, I didn't see the lever. I thought it was going to automatically punch. Hey, check this out. They're still actively making pottery on this site. Now, I was a little remiss in saying that the buildings date from 1913. That was the year production began, but the bulk of construction took place in 1912. Medalta would undergo a number of ownership changes, slight name changes over the years, and here's a listing of their stamps and marks, which can be used for dating the pottery to a specific era. Starting around 1940, Medalta really got into manufacturing hotelware and really cornered the market for hotels and restaurants and had a large number of contracts with companies like Canadian Pacific Rail. Whoa, 4,000 times a day. Let's see if I can at least do it once. And turn, step, 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 step. Do your thing. And then it's step, 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 step. And grab and repeat for your entire shift. Hey guys, excuse me. I'm new here. It's my first day. Does anyone know when coffee break is? Okay, I guess they're not talkative. It's really hard to overstate how dominant Medalta was in its heyday. Between 1928 and 1950, it's estimated Medalta accounted on average for 67% of all Canadian pottery production. Okay, reviewing the map, I think we go this way first before we head into the old factory.
Original foundations for the 1943 kiln and transfer rack. Track.
Right. So this is the different style of kiln where the pottery actually rolled through on little carts versus the beehives that we saw earlier. Original foundations. And then a sample there and a reproduction up top of what it would have looked like.
The floor was saw cut and lifted away, and fill was removed using a small backhoe, a tool perfectly suited to this delicate task.
The factory ceased operations in 1966 for the final time and basically sat abandoned for roughly 30 years. And this section of the museum and the exhibits here really give you an indication of what an archaeological dig type process it was to bring this place back to life. I think they're missing the word spaghetti. Oh, wow. Okay, if you like industrial architecture with a little dash of post-apocalyptic vibe, this place is for you. I was just wondering what it would have been like to see and explore this before it was preserved and opened as a historical site and museum, and I suspect it's probably was something like what you're seeing here. Very dark, very industrial. Probably not quite as clean at that time, though. Being here on a Friday afternoon on kind of a rainy day is really great. It's not very crowded at all, so we actually have most of the place to ourselves for the bulk of our self-guided tour. So this here, there's a opening in the ground here where you can look down. That gives you a good indication of the level we were on when we went down the stairs there. We would have been underneath the main factory floor. Can you imagine the noise that would have been in this place when it was in full production? Like the noise, the smell. It must have been quite the place. So yeah, as we piece the process together, this was the grinder. So the raw material came in, you can kind of see it in the back there. Came in, got ground down to the desired size by these giant wheels here, and then was moved via bucket elevator up into these overhead storage bins. So this kind of gives an overview of those overhead storage bins and all the machinery that was used for moving the raw materials around the plant. Over in that corner, yes, those were the factory bathrooms, and according to the information sheet, they only bothered to add doors in the 20s when women started working in the factory. So up until then, you really got to know your coworkers if you had to go.
Here, that's some kind of agitation drum.
So yeah, belt drive, and then down underneath, you can see the paddle that would have been in the underground slip tank to keep everything from solidifying. That's your early 20th century agitator, folks.
Must have been turned by some kind of master motor.
I guess. And then everything was belt driven and ran off of that. The whole thing operated like clockwork, I tell you. Clockwork. So that's going to conclude our self-guided portion of the old factory. Coming back out here into the newer part here, the reception and lobby area, there's this great little excavation of a beehive kiln like the ones we visited back at the beginning of the video. Like all good museum tours, don't forget to exit through the gift shop. And also, like all good YouTube videos, if you enjoyed this one, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. We love watching those numbers grow. It motivates us to get out there and check things out and share it with you guys. And I hope that these videos motivate you to get out there and explore your local history wherever you happen to be.